Hello, everyone. Welcome once again. I am Jeff the Ref, and I am joined by Mad Mike here, and we are with the Refs Roundtable, part of Wrestling with the Future's nice little family of podcasting here. Now, Mike, it has been a week since a little over a week since we were on here last, and yeah, I mean, definitely, some of the feedback I've been getting, of course, is I'm all knowing of. We already knew that. Anyway, so how's your week been there, Mike?
I've been good. I've been working a lot.
Yeah.
Helping some families out, and other than that, just keeping things moving. How are you doing? I see a little change on your end of the screen here, my friend.
I'll tell you what it was see, me and my friend, we were playing a late night game of WWE 2K20, and I put my hair on the line, and
So what you're saying is you're better at picking the matches than actually competing in the matches.
I lost.
Hey, man. I'll get you some wax. We can shine it up for you.
It's not totally. It's down to. It's about a one clip of like no guard on the clipper type cut. So.
Oh, you let me do it. I'll have you looking super
sharp.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I'll tell you what. It's been kind of slow as far as like the news goes, but there's definitely been a little bit of things going on here that, in the week of wrestling. Like some of the news that's been coming down the pipe. And one thing I would like to talk about is something that me and you had talked about a couple of weeks ago. And it's seeming more and more that they are going to be selling the pay-per-view rights to a possible streaming network, and i.e. somebody probably within the conglomerate of the Disney, ABC network of family umbrella.
Yeah.
It's looking like that's going to be where it goes. What do you think about that, Mike?
Well, it's a lot of money on the line, and if there's one thing that the McMahon family loves is money.
Yeah.
It's not surprising, and in this day and age, you have Netflix, you have Hulu, you have a billion streaming services out there. The WWE Network, not to forget about them.
Uh-huh.
And the big deal is content and viewers. And so partnering up with some big company is a surefire way for both sides to either get more content or viewers.
Well, I mean, I think that, fans, WWE, in a roundabout way, they may have like trapped themselves or backed themselves into a small corner.
Okay.
Because they've done the $9.99 network price since they started it.
Until about a month ago.
Right. Which it's not like they said for $9.99 you can have all the content. However, for $20.99 or $15.99, you will be having our pay-per-views in addition to exclusive content. And now you're going to ask fans to go, in addition to paying the $9.99, because they're going to not be airing pay-per-views no longer on the network, is what they're talking.
I'm out. Do you think all of the pay-per-views will get migrated over, or is it just the key ones?
From again, scuttlebutt talk, and all you can do is read. I mean, I don't know anybody that works for ESPN. I don't know that you do, but not on that kind of level, maybe. But
I did meet. You see this right here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Guess that's the 2017 Masters flag. Guess who I met walking the grounds of Augusta National?
Who's that?
Jonathan Coachman.
I'm not surprised. He does cover all those golfing events for ESPN. So
we walked together for a few minutes, and we were talking about wrestling. And he was like, "Man, this is the best." Yesterday, I was at. I think he was at the Final Four, or he was at some huge sporting event. Next day, he's at Augusta National. We were talking about wrestling. It was really cool. But anyway, he's the only guy I can say I've met from ESPN.
Well, he had a big part in ESPN being willing to cover wrestling like they do now from WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And actually giving WrestleMania true blue Sports Center coverage. And to the point where ESPN doesn't even treat wrestling as a joke anymore. Like they once,
absolutely.
It used to be, and I know you'll know what I'm talking about. It used to be not even just ESPN, sports reporters in general. If you even saw it on the news and you saw a news clip about somebody other than here locally, like Magnum TA or whatever,
yep,
it was always tongue in cheek of a ha ha, look at that, those phony guys. And now they actually treat it like it's real.
I always remember, like, I think it was like the reporters that were up and coming that got stuck with the wrestling beat.
Yes.
And, like in the newspaper and whatnot. So it was one of those things, like, unless it was a joke or something like that, you really didn't hear, or something, maybe somebody got hurt in the crowd or something like that was otherwise newsworthy. A lot of times you didn't hear about wrestling in the newspaper or on Sports Center or whatever, but you're absolutely right. I mean, I remember many times seeing highlights of the big wrestling matches on ESPN in the past 10 years or so.
Yeah, and you know, well, I think what else is helping is more and more athletes are coming out and saying that they are pro wrestling fans, or they're showing up at events with their kids and that kind of thing. Go ahead.
I'll also say this. I thought you were going to say it, being the guru, but let me put on my little guru helmet here, and more athletes are wrestling.
Yes.
Dennis Rodman back in the day.
Karl Malone.
Yeah, Karl Malone. That was terrible. But
hey, I mean, you know, you want to touch on? I mean, they did. I mean,
Floyd Mayweather, Tyson Fury.
That's what I was gonna say. Fast forward to now, and you got Tyson Fury, Cain Velasquez, who's made the transition over.
Brock, you know, I mean, Brock Lesnar went from wrestling to MMA and then back to wrestling, so that's kind of weird. But then
still doing it.
Like your boy from the Broserweights,
Matt Riddle, buddy.
I was gonna, yeah. You are so over on him. I mean, like,
I'll tell you what, and a lot of it does have to do with the fact that I got to meet him on a personal level when we brought him into VCW, and just
how long ago was that?
Probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
Maybe even more. I mean, maybe even 5.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, he was, when we brought him in, he wasn't even making. He was just starting to make some headway on the indies. Mm-hmm. Like he wasn't even really taking off quite like as that guy who was getting brought in all across the country. But just getting to talk to him, I got to see where his head was at. Mm-hmm. And he takes the business serious. I know a lot of people look at him and they're like, "Oh, come on, how serious?" No, he really does, and he has a mind for it that he doesn't want to do all the flip flop and flies. He rather, you know, he wants to incorporate the UFC suplex and all. You know, just talking to him and realizing that about him, I gravitated to him and I followed him on the indie since, and to see him get picked up and to know, you know. Here was a guy who he had the balls, honestly, I'll say it, balls, to stand up to Dana White in the UFC on their drug testing policy. And it's no hidden fact he's a pothead or was, but I shouldn't even say a pothead. He believed in medical marijuana usage. Mm-hmm. Out in Vegas, medical marijuana is allowed. He did not want to do pills, to his credit. He didn't want to do pain pills. Now, UFC allows them to take pain pills as long as you got a prescription drug, you know, pad, you know, written out for it.
Yeah, a prescription.
He had a prescription for medical marijuana. He would get popped for being hot on marijuana by the UFC. Mm-hmm. And he said, "How can you pop me when it's medically prescribed in the state where I live? And who are you to try to push me to take pills? Mm-hmm. I have every right to not want to, mess my mind up or get addicted to or whatever you want to call it to these drugs. If I choose to smoke weed, I should be allowed to do that. He got popped 3 different times and he told Dana White, you can kiss my ass. And I mean, that to me is a ballsy move. He had a big contract that was offered to him from winning the UFC contest. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's just got to, and to know that he bounced from that to where he is now, you know what I mean? Like, he literally went from having no job, newborn baby, newly married, and transitioned it and made a career into wrestling. So,
well, really, he was going up.
Yeah. Yep.
Then came all the way back down to earth, struggled, and now he's going back.
There you go. And feel good stories like that are always good to hear. You know what I mean? So now, speaking of drug policies, and that transitions me into our next news story. And well, actually, hang on. I'm going to go back to this really quick. What I was going to say about if they are to do the pay-per-views to ESPN, they're talking maybe even doing like a like they do with the UFC, which is you pay $4.99 for ESPN Plus, and then in addition to you pay the pay-per-view price of like $69.99.
Boo.
You tell me. You are a wrestling fan. I'm a wrestling fan. I agree with you, Mike. Hashtag boo. I mean, that is not a good idea. I don't see that they're going to make the money. I don't see how they can. Even if WWE only has 1 million subscribers right now at $10, that's 10 million guaranteed a month.
Yeah.
Why are they going to cut themselves off unless it is to get somebody else to absorb the pay-per-view costs all the way around? You go to ESPN, you go, look, we'll give you the rights to this pay-per-view, but you got to pay for the whole event. Now they got to absorb that $700,000 production cost.
I bet, you know what? If it costs $700,000 to put on WrestleMania, then it's well worth it. I mean, I don't see how, like the numbers side of it, yeah, it frees the WWE of $700,000 worth of liability.
Right.
But if
yeah,
it doesn't add up because the profits on just the ticket sales alone are going to be at least that.
I don't see why they would. I mean, there's got to be more to it than just. I know that they are. I mean, last quarter they did have to post a loss. They did post a loss financially, and I know that they're looking at we're losing money and revenue stream because our house shows are down. I mean, anyway.
Well, so the industry is changing just so much.
It's
in a state of flux, and I think WWE has weathered the storms that have come every generation. So I think this is just that natural time where they're just going to have to, if it was me, they're going to have to either hunker down and just ride it out until they figure out what's going on, or they're going to have to make a drastic change. Now, if this is their drastic change, they're really going to piss a lot of people off. And, I'm not paying $69 or $60 or whatever it is for a pay-per-view. I mean, those days are long gone.
If they want me to pay $69.99 or even $60 for a pay-per-view, they better start bringing a way better product than what they're offering me right now.
Absolutely. If I paid $50 or $60 for what was it?
Elimination Chamber.
Elimination Chamber, and it like last year's Elimination Chamber, I don't think was so great.
Nope.
I would be pissed.
Yeah.
But even still, you can't go from saying, I'll tell you this much. There's I've been in sales for years. Okay. It's always easier to back the cart down the hill than to go up the hill. So what I'm saying is, if you start at $60 and then you say, you know what, WWE fans, we're going to give you a break. You pay $10 a month and you can watch all you want. That's coming down the mountain. you can't push that cart back up the mountain just as easily because there's going to be a lot of people alienated. Now, the one thing I will say is when you get 6 times the revenue from one pay-per-view that you get from a subscriber for 6 months, like for 1 month.
Right. I'm sure that they've weighed the numbers out and are at least trying to figure them out, and more than me and you can. But anyway, that I will go into this story. I was transitioning to before I backtracked, and that's on me. Samoa Joe, he just recently, it was announced by WWE.com, so this is not rumor and innuendo. It's out there. It's known fact. He got popped for a 30-day violation. For one, to look at him, he does not look like a steroid user, bodybuilder type. He's an island boy. He enjoys his food, as they say. And that's just like a known thing about a lot of them, and they even say that themselves. So, it's weird. I mean, I couldn't tell you what he got popped on because they don't release that kind of information. All you can do is speculate. What do you think about it, Mike? What do you got to say? And then I'll go into a little bit more.
Well, the whole wellness policy that WWE has is one that I know a little bit about, but I'm going to ask you about.
Okay.
So, having the insider info, and I know some of this is more public knowledge than not, but just saying, to get suspended for 30 days, were there any things that happened before that?
No.
First violation.
To be suspended for 30 days, that's a first-time violation. The way that their violations work for the wellness policy is this. First offense is 30 days. Second offense is 90 days and automatic rehab for 30. And then third offense, done.
No.
Now, if you can maintain, and they may have changed it, and I don't know if they have in recent years. It used to be you maintain no strikes for like 3 or 5 years, and I would have to look it up, and I didn't, and I apologize. But if you can maintain basically, pee clean for 35 years and keep your nose clean and no violations, then your violation drops.
Okay.
So, but unlike other sports, they do not offer that appeals process.
That's
and here's the deal. Let's just say you wrestled for me, Mike, and I go, hey man, Mike, go pee in this cup for me. And you go and you pee for it. And I come back and you're positive. And you go, whoa, I did nothing. Mm-hmm. You could have done it something as simple, and this could be in Samoa Joe's case, as simple as an inhaler, because you went home and you had a hard time breathing and you needed, air adjustment from one atmosphere to the other. You went from Colorado back to Virginia or Florida, wherever you may live, and you're having a little bit hard time. Okay, steroid, or you got a cold. Steroids have, or inhaler has steroids in it to help your lungs.
Yeah.
If you do not report to the WWE doctor and show them your script for your inhaler, and they call you in to go pee for them, and you pee, you're going to pee hot for steroids. It does not matter that you have that inhaler. You didn't tell them. Now you're in violation.
Have you heard of a wrestler where an inhaler did that?
Yes, actually, it did happen. It happened to Roman Reigns when he got popped.
Oh, really?
Yep.
An inhaler. Okay. Wow.
He got popped, and then literally like the week he got popped, the week later he went down with his lungs. His lungs like collapsed on him, and he had a bunch of crap that went down. And it was not a good situation. And there's been a couple of times where it had Paige, and then Paige had her own battle with her demons. But her initial one was a case of the one inhaler. It was something else that was prescribed to her that made her pop hot, And she said, "Oh crap," like you could even go home, be off the road for a week because you're injured or you're hurting, and you go to your local, your regular doctor, and your doctor gives you Tylenol 3 for 5 days.
And that's Tylenol with codeine.
Right. And you forget to tell them, oh, my doctor gave me Tylenol with codeine while I was off because of my ankle. They pop you. They say, here, we need you to pee. And let's say within that whatever time frame that codeine's in your system, you're guilty.
So really, the judge, jury, and executioner is the drug test. If it comes back with something, boom, don't worry about trying to explain it. Just take your month off, and we'll see what happens afterwards.
And the only drug that they do allow you to get popped for is marijuana. Wow. And they give you a $3,500 fine.
Nah, it's nothing.
Seriously, you're right. It is. I mean, $3,500 is figure sales or T-shirt sales to them in 1 month. I mean, that ain't. You know what I mean? To them, it's like, okay, here's your check. So, I think, to WWE's credit for having such a strict policy, honestly, because they're doing what they need to do to protect themselves and their wrestlers and the business, all of it. Because as many people know and listeners would know, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, we had wrestlers dropping like flies. And it was all over pain pills and abusing them. And back then they may have had a policy, but it was very lackadaisical. And it was normally, hey, brother, you look like you may be under the influence of something. You may need to get some help. Oh, no, I'm good. And let them go. Yeah. And
or it was, hey, man, I know you're not feeling good.
Right.
But we've got this pay-per-view or big match that we got to get through. Here's some pills. Let's just get it done.
Yeah. What's it going to take?
Yeah.
Wrap your knee up, take a shot of cortisone in the knee, and here's a couple of Vicodin, and go on out there and you go do your thing. And then, you go and do that for a month, and next thing you know, you got yourself a nice little habit that you didn't mean to get. And I mean, you're down a bad road. So
absolutely.
I mean, I can tell from personal experience, having to have pain pills is very easy to, I can see why you could fall down that rabbit hole very, very quickly. Now, let's get into another subject we got coming up this week.
Mm-hmm.
The Crown Jewel pay-per-view over in Saudi Arabia. No, we are not going to get into the political bullcrap of it all, people. No, that is not what me and Mike are here for. We're here to have fun. So, however, I would like to bring something up, and I want to see what you think about it, Mike.
Okay.
I don't know that the Crown Jewel pay-per-view is even needed because it has really no influence on any of the booking before or after, other than them trying to hype it and go, we got a big event.
You want to know what the significance is of this pay-per-view?
What's that?
The shit ton of money that the McMahons are going to make from the Saudi royal family. And, I mean, it's just insane. These events, I remember when the first one was put on a few years ago, and it was huge. And it was really awesome, honestly, to see the crowd and see people who probably had never been to a WWE event.
WWE had never been. You're accurate on that. WWE had never been over into the land of Saudi Arabia. So had they been to the Middle East before? Yes.
So in that regard, that's really awesome.
Yep.
And without going, as you said, without going into politics, this is a total cash grab. That's all it is. The storylines don't mean anything. The matches are thrown together kind of haphazardly, and you have to worry about, like, part of the issue is, like, because of the politics, which we're not going to get into, there's wrestlers who won't go. And so you can't continue all of the storylines into the pay-per-view because some of the people object and they just can't go. And so, I mean, what a fucking terrible thing this is. Like,
I agree on everything that you're saying. I will say this: the cash grab aspect of it is good for the company and the wrestlers that get to go over there. Because now the wrestlers that choose to not go, they choose to not go. Or Sami Zayn has been told because of his religious beliefs and he's a Muslim that they will not allow him in the country.
Oh, Sami Zayn is Muslim?
Yeah.
Really?
Canadian Muslim.
Yeah. There's a lot of Muslims in Canada.
No, that is very true. And but he is, but he's got it's his ethnic background. He is born of descent of I forget exactly where. I mean, he's not. He has like the Muslim religion is in his that part of his background. You know what I mean? Like
okay.
I think you understand. I'm not trying to.
We're good.
Yeah. Okay.
So they told him, "Hey, for your safety and the safety of everyone around you, you sit this one out."
Yeah. There you go. The company did,
responsible. That's good.
Daniel Bryan has a personal objection. Kevin Owens, he has said he doesn't want to go, but if he had to, he would. Aleister Black is not allowed to go because of his tattoos. A couple of them have religious connotation, and they say, not allowed over here. But to WWE's credit, by going over there, they allowed women in the audience for the first time ever to watch an event with their husband and kids. And they allow women to compete now getting ready to be 2 events in a row. They are, I guess you would say, making some strides there, helping show some Western culture. But what I was going to say, the cash grab is a lot of the guys, it's almost like a bonus. Back in the day, they used to make WrestleMania bonus checks so much so some of them were able to pay house payments for a year, buy new cars, whatever, put your kid through private school for the next 4 years, whatever you did with your bonus money is what you chose, but that was your bonus. And they no longer get those bonuses from pay-per-views like they used to because they can't figure in pay-per-view buys because it's all on the network. However, when you got the Saudi government over here offering you $50 million to come in for one show, here you go.
Yeah, and I want to say one thing, because on a slightly different angle of that, the guys that don't go,
right,
the guys and women, the men and women that do not go, they are really taking their career in their own hands, and it's a big risk because does that make you look like somebody who's not a team player? People in the workforce in their regular jobs face similar things on a much smaller scale usually every day. But it's funny to think about professional wrestlers having to decide, do I put aside my beliefs and things that are important to me because I don't want to get blacklisted and buried in the card or let go?
Yep.
Oh, my contract is getting ready to come up for renegotiation and renewal. Okay, I better go to this thing just so they don't, look to replace me.
Right, and you're accurate on that one too. I mean, I think somebody like a Daniel Bryan who has a personal stance against going, and he has said, "I will not go," and he has every right to say that. And to WWE's credit, they have said if anybody is not comfortable going, you will not be punished or it will not be held against you. You just basically will not get the payoff. Now, I see that eye roll, Mike, and you kind of got to go with, is that the company line and rhetoric, or, because like you said, even like on a small scale, you could be working for a big corporation or a small corporation, and you got to take those things into consideration of, they may tell me that, but is that really accurate, or are they telling me the truth?
Well, I'll tell you what, I run my own company, and the guys that I know I can count on to go do the work that we do day in and day out, they're going to get first crack at the jobs. And the ones that pick and choose what they want to do, You know,
okay, let's just say you had a case of somebody who ran into a situation of somebody who had a personal stance for whatever reason. I won't even get into whatever it could be. Just a personal stance against going into a home or whatever to help you out with a job. And they said, look, Mike, I can't do it. I just cannot do it. And here's why. Would you look at them and would you say, they didn't, that one job they didn't want to come for, but they did every other one? And would you?
No, I mean, I would look at it. I would take it on a case by case basis, and if it's a reasonable objection, and whether it's safety or
right.
Religion or whatever it was, like that's fine. Like I'm a human being and I'm a compassionate human being, but at the end of the day, the people that are in the trenches every day,
and you have a company to run too, and that's WWE. The same thing. I mean that. You can be a team player, but at the end of the day, how big of a team player are you? You're right. And I think, though, I mean, all that aside, I agree. I mean, the only thing is, and here we go. It's going to take us into another story here, actually. And it does have to kind of tie in with this. The SmackDown, the news coming out now this week, SmackDown's main event and another match I was talking about have now been pulled from WrestleMania. We had Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns as kind of a foregone conclusion, which a lot of, as Mike is holding his thumbs down, a lot of fans were not behind. They did not want to see it. They were not happy for it. And
Bray sucks.
hey, I had it coming to me.
Wait, is there an audience in here? Wow. Hey, keep it down. Keep it down.
But a lot of people, and if WWE were to be reading the internet, they would see, hey, Roman, the fans didn't want to see it. They did not want to see that match. So that brings it, and then the other match is John Cena and Elias that they pulled. So that brings us, though, we got Goldberg facing Bray at the showdown, at the Saudi showdown here. There's now talk and possibility that Goldberg walks away with that belt.
That makes absolutely no sense. Somebody who hasn't been around, you haven't even heard a whisper about Goldberg for, well, I guess since, what was it, last year's Saudi Arabia event?
Yeah, when he totally blew the crap out. Yeah, when he knocked himself out and got concussed and totally looked like crap against Taker. Yeah.
No, and that is insane. I mean, look, guys coming back and making a big pop is one thing,
right?
But I'll put it to you this way. If they're going to bring Goldberg back to win the belt just to drop it right away and not see him again for another year, I don't want it. If they're going to develop a storyline with him and a real solid feud that leads up to something, maybe at Mania or somewhere thereafter, that's fine. But God help them if they mess this up, which they're going down that road. Okay,
they are.
Mess this up, I'm gonna riot. I'm just telling you.
I mean, right now the rumored what is rumored is possibly Goldberg beats Bray for the belt to face Roman at the WrestleMania, with Roman going over on Goldberg for the title, because they know that then Goldberg would actually be getting the boos like he did against Brock Lesnar when he faced Lesnar at Mania a couple years ago. And he came in as the champ. I don't want to see it. I mean, he's 50, whatever years old. Whether
he's
you like
still in
Bray,
great shape, but
no, I agree. But whether you like Bray or not, you don't take that belt off of Bray, especially over in Saudi Arabia, and you don't have it be Bill Goldberg that does it. And then the other rumor is Cena versus The Fiend for the title at Mania. Go ahead, Mike.
want to go back to Bray versus Goldberg here.
Yeah.
So Goldberg at this point adds nothing to Bray Wyatt's storyline. Absolutely nothing.
Yep.
If anything, that would take Bray down a notch that he can't afford to go down. And then how are you going to get him back up? Unless he was just a placeholder with the belt until something happened. But I know that's hard for you to hear, but I just like.
Well, I mean, it's not just me. I mean, I think there would be a lot of people that would agree with me. Right now, you do not do that to the Fiend character. You don't do that to Bray. Not when he was able. As anybody would know, he was buried so far down as Bray Wyatt. It took 9 months off to come back and be something again and make people want him to come back. And he was able to reinvent and come back with his Fiend character. You don't kill that off. That's something special that you let, But now then you get into the rumored match of what about possibility of The Fiend versus John Cena at WrestleMania?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I'm not a fan of Bray Wyatt. There was one match that I saw, oddly enough, I think he tagged with John Cena, and he was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He was moving fast. It was the most dynamic match I've seen with Bray Wyatt. Everything else for years I have hated. And, this whole Fiend character I'm not a fan of. I do like the Funhouse. That's a really creative little bit that he does.
But him poking fun at himself.
Yeah, and it's twisted. It's just creative. I like it. But the mask he wears and all that shit, please. I'm not a fan of his whole gimmick, but and I wouldn't want you doing the mandible claw on me. If I'm another worker, I would just people putting their hands in my mouth. No, I don't want that, especially him. So, but let's say Cena, let's say the Guru is right, and it's Cena, Fiend at Mania. Yeah, I look at it like it would build up Bray Wyatt to a point that he probably has never been before.
Mm-hmm.
Because
now you put him over.
Yeah, I mean he'd be like beating Superman.
I think that they could actually establish you actually maybe hitting on something there. If they're going to have him face John Cena at Mania and not Roman, thank God, you got to put him over on John. And if you do, you're going to actually put Bray into that upper echelon main event status of he is now that guy that can be in that upper tier and handle those matches. He faced Cena a couple years ago at Mania and laid down and did the honors for him. Now it's time to repay it.
Well, I don't care what they do. I don't know that I'll ever think he's a main eventer consistently. He has his moments.
You got to give the man credit. He got himself in way better shape than he ever was before when he came back. He lost a ton of whether or not you can tell he lost over 50, 60 pounds. He's got himself in way better cardio. He's moving way faster than I've ever seen him move. And he's even pulling out new moves that he wasn't doing before. I get it. I can't sell you on him. I'm not going to try to sell you on him. That's not what I'm here for. But I'm going to hit on one last little piece of information that is coming out right now and is starting to become kind of a hot button topic is Matt Hardy's contract's up at the end of this coming month, at the end of March.
Okay.
That they said maybe that's why they did the bit with Randy Orton. Maybe they're writing him off of TV, and now he's going to be going off into the sunset. Hello, AEW. There's even the talk that people that watch AEW, You got the Dark Order over there. There's talk that he's going to be the leader of the Dark Order. I think wrestling fans that know the creativity of Matt Hardy that he did when he was in TNA with the Elite character and all that.
Broken Matt Hardy.
Broken Matt want to see him be able to be creative again. I think that's really what they want to see. However, WWE in the last 2 days are offering him a position down at NXT, along with being part of the creative team and and helping behind the scenes.
Well, as we talked about on a previous episode of the Refs Roundtable, I do firmly believe that Matt Hardy needs to retire from in-ring action.
Yep.
He could be a manager. He could be working behind the scenes, doing storylines and production. He could be working in the training center, whatever it is. But for the love of God, let's not break this man, excuse me.
No, you're right. He's 45 years old.
I mean, broken was a very, very accurate term for him. I just can't stand watching him try to run or jump. Like, his legs have taken such a pounding. It's painful to watch.
He's always been bow-legged or cowboy-legged, whatever you want to call it. But it's definitely over the last couple of years, it's become more painful to see him in there. And I mean, when you consider the level of work that him and his brother put in, they were doing TLC matches way before you even knew how to protect each other better than they do now. I mean, this is back when concussions weren't known of being concussed. It was, oh, I got my bell rung. Let me go out there and I'm going to wrestle again tonight. And I agree with you. I mean, I get fans wanting to see his creativity. Okay, let him be creative behind the scenes and come up with ideas and storylines and see what happens for other people, not himself. I mean, let that creative genius, and maybe AEW as a Dark Order guy, manager is where he needs to go. That may be where it is. But honestly, I don't see Cody and them having come up. Go ahead.
I just had the moment of clarity here, Guru.
Go ahead.
So Matt Hardy should go to AEW and work with the Dark Order for a year or so. He'll get the connections with all the up-and-coming talent from AEW.
Yep.
Then he comes back to WWE to work behind the scenes, and he's the conduit that's bringing all of this talent from AEW to WWE, and or vice versa, helping some of the guys go from WWE to AEW. Because I think there could be a good relationship that they could work out to keep guys moving between the organizations.
Oh, I think they could too, but I don't think they would ever want that known, because then they wouldn't have the fans looking at it as the war, the Great War that it.
Absolutely.
So, okay, I know I said last subject, but I don't know. I mean, no, we're not going to give our picks, but we got AEW Revolution is this Saturday. You got coming up. That's the second pay-per-view for AEW. I got a hard time with the main event of Jericho and Moxley. I mean, we could give a quick rundown, and I'm not even trying to get into that whole match, but the fans have already seen Jericho and Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago. And they may not have been allowed to be creative as, in WWE, but you know what? Creative or not, their match was not stellar.
I don't remember it.
So
But I am a big Jericho fan.
I am too.
And I am a big fan of no longer Dean Ambrose, John Moxley.
Totally dig the Moxley character, and I get the appeal that he has to the fans. I get it. I can see it. I just don't see them main eventing together when he could have had somebody else maybe plugged in there. But then you go, well, who do you put in there? I don't know. I wouldn't even know where to be. because AEW is still new. You know what I mean? Like they're still establishing. They got so much talent that they're establishing still, and it's not the talent's fault. The talent, a lot of them came from the indies. They got to get out there and get known, and they're doing a good job at doing that. They really, really are. But that's just one that I'm not looking. I mean, it's like, okay, on paper, and even the build up to it has been kind of like, oh, okay, I see it, but I haven't really been able to sink my teeth into it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, to be honest, like AEW, honestly, like all you hear is Jericho, Moxley, and Cody on the. I mean, like that's like the lion's share of what they talk about. So there is some overload there, where at a certain point you might get burnt out of just hearing these guys, and it's like they're just kind of all trading places, and maybe that's not the right way to say it, but I mean it's like they're like the fans want to see two of them fight, and then there's always the other. It's just this weird thing where like I watch it and I'm like I'm not really like getting hooked on it because I know just a month later they're going to be putting just a slightly different spin on things.
Well, I mean, you got the Cody and MJF, which that has been following that whole storyline has been tremendous. I mean, from the best friends and screwing the other one over, kicking him in the balls so he doesn't get the world title.
You remember that time you kicked me in the balls when we were wrestling?
You know what? I can remember kicking you in the balls and getting a roll up so I could get a win, by golly. And you know what? Hey, you do what you got to do.
Remember those words, ref. I'm gonna do what I got to do.
Oh, but I'm looking forward to the Cody and MJF. I mean, even the 10 lashes when they did that, that was a pure emotion by the end of that. I mean, you're bringing Dustin down.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I mean, just all of that. You know, who could not, if you have a sibling or you're married even, or both, who could not relate to that, you know, of having your wife going, no, don't do this. And then you got your brother going, come on, you know, man up, you got this, I believe in you. After he done said, please let me take the 10 for him. Like what sibling wouldn't want to see or do that, seeing their sibling getting the shit kicked out of them and go, hey man, that's enough. Enough's enough. Let me step in. I mean, I know me and you both, you know, we got our siblings, they're sisters. I'll disclose that now. But you know, if I saw somebody whooping my sister, besides wanting to kick their ass, and they said, no, you got to then let me take it for her. You know what I mean? Like it's so I can get that emotion as a brother, and as you know, I know you can relate to that too, Mike. I mean, on both levels of Brandy appealing to him and begging him, please stop, you know, enough and everything. So
by the way, speaking of Brandy, do you remember this is a little bonus wrestling with the past moment here? Yeah. You, me, and Brandy have a little bit of history together.
Yes, we do. Go ahead, tell them, Mike.
So myself, the ref, and I think I had a couple other friends there with us as well.
Yeah, we may have.
And so we were at
with us.
Huh?
I think Max had come with us.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, Max. Okay. So we were at WWE event at the Scope.
Yep.
Norfolk Scope. And after the match, some of the wrestlers were walking by and just saying hello, shaking hands. And
it was a house show.
House show. Yes, it was a house show. And who walks by but Miss Brandy Rhodes.
Yep.
And we snapped a couple photos.
Sure did.
And then little did we know that was her last night as a WWE employee.
It literally, we had our house show, and like 2 hours later, it got announced on all over the internet that she was leaving and she was done. And me and Mike both were like, whoa. Like, in fact, actually, Mike texted me to say, hey, Jeff, did you hear that? So it was.
Yeah, so Mike told the guru the breaking news.
There you go.
We were the last fans, the last WWE fans to get a picture with Brandy Rhodes.
At least we'll believe that ourselves.
That's the story I'm sticking with.
Yeah, I mean, she may have met somebody at dinner later that night, but we don't know about it, and that doesn't matter. So we were the last we were the last real WWE fans. There you go. Now, Mike, we're going to get ready to wrap this up.
Yep.
And as we have often, or as we have done, we normally share a nice childhood or memory for me and you, whether it's childhood, teenage years, whatever.
Yeah.
We're going to take everybody back to the great year of 1991 or 92. There was a little-known band out there that my good buddy Mike had introduced me to, kind of. I mean, I knew who they were, but he really kind of got me hooked on them. Little-known band. I don't know if people remember them or not, but their name happens to be Guns N' Roses. And they had not ever been to our area.
Yeah.
And I'll let Mike, what all do you remember of this really quick? I mean,
well, I just Googled the date. It
okay.
was June 22nd, 1991.
Okay, there you go. Okay. And
Hampton Coliseum. It was the Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 tour.
okay.
Skid Row opened the concert. They had their album, I believe it was Slave to the Grind. That
They
was
just released that. Yep. Yep.
And what did your sister drive us?
Yeah, my sister had a Mustang that looked like had the Pinto design back in the day.
I didn't know it was a Mustang.
And this thing had like a rusted out floorboard to the point where you could like almost see the ground below you. And and her friends had even nicknamed it the Pentang because it looked like a Pinto mixed with a Mustang. So, but yes, me having the older sister and me and Mike wanting to go, and my sister, of course, wanting to go, you know, she was wanting to go with all of her friends.
Yeah.
And it was, hey, if we get money for the tickets, will you take us with you? And she said, I think half begrudgingly maybe, but she agreed to take us. And and then, I mean, like literally it was, we get there to the show. In fact, I'm not even sure that we rode with her to it. I know we rode back with her, but I want to say one of her friends that was going, one of her guy friends that were going, there's like a big group, like from what I recall, it was her and her boyfriend Al, or he wasn't even her boyfriend, but Al, or a bunch of her guy and girlfriends. It was like a group of them. And we went like 3 or 4 car deep, I mean, to it. And anyway, it was just, like I said, the fact that Guns N' Roses was coming here, they have not even been back to the area since. Not even on their reunion tour.
I think the closest was DC.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, anyway, so we get there and like my sister, we park. Okay, guys, get out. You're on your own. The heck you talking about? And then here's me and little Mike, 1991. We're all of age, let's see, we're about 14, 15 years old. Yeah. 14 years old. Yeah.
Maybe 13, 14.
Yeah. Not having no clue what a concert was. And then, you know, they had here at the Hampton Coliseum something called festival seating, which was they had no seats on the floor. Mm-hmm. And that allowed for you to have mosh pits and, you know, all that good stuff that went with a good rock concert. Anyway, needless to say, me and Mike, we show up. We're oblivious to, you know, how concerts were or what what went on during them. And house lights go down. Skid Row comes up. they kick into Slave to the Grind or whatever it was, or Monkey Business or what. Crowds start swaying. Me and Mike get separated.
Let me stop you right there. I don't know the exact capacity of the Hampton Coliseum, but let's say it's 15,000 people. I don't know.
About that for a concert, yeah.
Okay. I'll tell you one thing. We were standing, on the floor about halfway or 2/3 of the way back from the stage, and there was no doubt that all 15,000 people wanted to be in the front row, we were standing in their way. It was like a tidal wave, like a tsunami of people, a tsunami of humanity coming forward. I got knocked to the ground, and I was trampled. And for a minute there, I was wondering, am I going to be able to get up, and is this how I'm going to die? It was insane, and everything worked out just fine. But that was an experience for sure.
I remember for me, I mean, like literally, like as soon as that happened, we got separated. I mean, within a matter of like 2 minutes, I had no plans of getting separated, but we did. Yeah. And at that point, no cell phones. There's no calling your buddy up and going, "Hey, where are you?" It was, let me scan the sea of humanity of 15,000 and hope I see them. And we didn't see each other until the end of the night. But as you're getting trampled, I'm wedged in between a rather large size lady and another and her friend's boobs.
Hey.
You're thinking you're going to get trampled to death. I'm thinking I'm going to get smothered to death.
Oh, my gosh.
And literally, like, the hand of God comes down. Kid, grab hold. And some dude with, I mean, like, an arm the size of Road Warrior Animal here. He tells me to grab hold, and he pulls me up. Enough to get me out and through the crowd.
Wow.
It was not a security guy. It was just somebody who saw me panicking and going, I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Well, if you're going to go, being smothered by somebody's bosom is maybe a way.
I mean, hey, if you're going to die, why not die that way, right? I mean, you're about to get trampled to death, and I'm about to get smothered. But either way, we came out alive. We came out, and I mean, Niels, I think that we probably had one of the best times. A really great time that night. I mean, I wish that we'd been able to be together and enjoy it. But there is honestly nothing like seeing Slash in person, and we are gonna wrap this up. I will give a little side note. Fast forward a few years later, me and Mike once again go to see another Slash concert. Slash was now on his own. He had left Guns N' Roses. He was just Slash. And
Slash's Snake Pit.
That's it, Slash's Snake Pit. And he was with a band called Tad.
I can't do it. Tad. Sign language is.
There you go. So what was I had called Mike up. I said, Mike, I'd actually won tickets, I think. And I said, Mike, I got tickets to the Slash's Snake Pit and some group called Tad. He was like, Tad's gonna be there? Like he was more excited over them than Slash's Snake Pit. So once again, my sister took us. We went to the Boathouse.
The Boathouse.
And there was some other band performing before Tad.
You want to know who that was?
Huh?
You want to know who that was?
Who was it?
A band called Jellyfish.
Okay. How in the heck did you remember that, or did you look it up?
No, I know it.
Oh, okay. I'm impressed with your memory on that. That because I could have told you. I remember Tad and Snake Pit, but I didn't know Jellyfish. But we were in the parking lot, and we come across a van like that. Honestly, looked like you say, "Hey, little kid, I got some candy for you. Come over here. Let's go look for my puppy dog." A panel van is the way to describe it. There you go. That's better. But so It was. I'm not picking on the band. I'm not making fun of them. I'm just saying we come up, and it was the lead singer, if I'm not mistaken, of Tad, right? And we got to talk to him. We talked to him for a good 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah, no, I mean, his name is Tad Doyle.
Yeah.
If you've never heard the band Tad, please check them out. They were on
good band.
They were on Sub Pop Records for most of their career before they went to a major label. I think it was a Warner subsidiary. But they here's a little known fact about Tad. And there's a really good documentary. If you go on YouTube, there's a couple of them. You'll find it. But it's Tad, by all accounts, was the band in Seattle that everybody in Seattle thought was going to be the big band.
Really?
Nobody, Nirvana was going to be the band, or Soundgarden. You know, Pearl Jam only came around after Andy Wood died of Mother Love Bone. So it was like Tad was going to be the band. And so when all this stuff happened with the craziness with grunge, like I love grunge, and so it's like everything happened, but Nirvana and Soundgarden, and then Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains and all these other bands, Mudhoney, they just shot to the top of the pecking order, and Tad got buried, even though they were the one that a lot of people picked to be the king of the land. And so Tad Doyle, he's a large man. It's kind of funny. His initials are Tad, T-A-D, but his stature is very large, which is
I do remember that. I remember him sitting on the side of the van and just talking to us, and he was a very large man. So
awesome, such a nice guy.
Oh yeah,
music to this day. We didn't get to meet Slash. I think
we saw him. He came off his bus and we saw him, and then his security was all getting him into the, but that was an awesome time for us. I mean, going to those two concerts that we mentioned there. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jeff the Ref. This is Mad Mike Kelleher, and we are with the Rest Roundtable, part of Wrestling with the Future. Let me tell everybody really quick, March the 14th, go on over to Hampton High School. We're going to be having a benefit for the Hampton Crabbers, VCW, Vanguard Championship Wrestling. You can go to VanguardChampionshipWrestling.com or VCW-Wrestling.com. Or you can find them on Facebook at Vanguard Championship Wrestling. And, of course, you can go there. You can see and get your ticket information. Mike, where can they see you on PBS?
You can catch me on a show called Legacy List with Matt Paxton. Check your local listings. It's on PBS, Public Broadcasting. We basically tell a family story through the items we find in their house, and really tie a lot of history and other things together. It's a lot of fun. So check that out. You can find me on Instagram at MK333, or also you can find me at Hi-Fi Mike RVA on Instagram at Hi-Fi Mike. Basically, I have one side that's more my personal stuff, and one side that's focusing on music and records and stuff like fun, weird stuff.
Oh, well, feel free to contact you via your Instagram accounts. And then, if you got any you want to talk wrestling, music, or anything with Mike, or hey, you know what, if you got an item that you may want him to give you kind of an appraisal on, or what he may think that something's worth, take a picture of it, send it on over to him. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to at least help you out with that. Go ahead. What's up with that? Yeah, go ahead. Tell us about that shirt you're wearing.
So last week you liked my Godhead Silo shirt. And so I decided every week I'll try and wear an interesting T-shirt. So this week is a little place.
King's Head Inn is what he's wearing.
You ever go there, Jeff?
Never been.
Okay. So back in the 90s, and like late 80s, early 90s, there was you go to the Boathouse and catch the major acts that were touring through. And there were so many great shows at the Boathouse. Absolutely amazing experiences there.
A lot of bands, when they were getting started, went to the Boathouse first before they really took off.
Exactly. If they weren't big enough for the Scope or the Coliseum, they'd go to the Boathouse. Now, before they would get to the Boathouse, a lot of times they'd be playing places like the Peppermint Beach Club.
Yes.
Or Peabody's. Or
Firehouse.
And then also King's Head Inn. So they had a lot of great punk and hardcore shows, and a lot of good alternative and underground acts would play the King's Head Inn.
All right. Well, let me tell everybody where they can catch me. They can catch me on Twitter at JeffRob41977. I think we're going to maybe have a Refs Roundtable Twitter account getting started here soon. But we are part of the Wrestling with the Future family. You can catch the Wrestling with the Future over on Wrestling with the Future on Facebook. You can also download the Refs Roundtable anywhere you find Wrestling with the Future, which we are on all of your major podcast platforms out there. And as of recently, we are at over 360,000 total downloads on Podbean. Podbean only. That's not counting everywhere else. As I say, we are the little podcast that could. We are making our way. We are making our name, and we will continue. Me and Mike will continue to bring the latest news and the latest, things that are happening in the wrestling world and our take on what's happening out there. Once again, my name is Jeff, the Ref, and I am joined with Mike, my co-host, Mad Mike over here. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for listening.